Yo, yo! Welcome to Sensophy. It's Jacob here. I'm great to be back on camera. Excited to have you with us. And I just got back from Bali recently. I was leading my second retreat out there. We had 24 amazing soul siblings come to join us. And we covered all these different topics, from purpose to fulfillment to getting paid to do what you love. And when it came time to talk about action and to say, okay, well, what's the game plan? We're in this amazing space with this incredible group of people. What's the game plan now for moving forward? I asked my apprentice to teach the action workshop. And when I was reflecting a little bit more on, I have been fairly successful at taking action in my life. Why am I asking him to teach the workshop on action? And why is it that I never struggled so much with action? And that was exactly it. It was because I hadn't struggled with action, I felt that I wouldn't be the best one to teach it. And when I checked in with him and when I asked him, have you ever struggled with action before? Immensely. I was one of his big struggling points. And so the lesson here is that our struggle often leads to our strength. And when we're in the thick of it, when we're going through that tough experience, or we're having that frustrating, challenging time, we can often be like, man, universe, screw you, or life blows, and kind of adapt this victim mindset. But if we are cautious enough to slow down and just realize that whatever's happening right now, the thing that feels like it's most overwhelming or most burdening or biggest pain in the ass, oftentimes that's the greatest gift that we get to then give forward to the world. And if you look back at the things that made you cry 10, 15 years ago, the things that really bothered you the most and the most challenging to deal with, you'll notice now how those challenges put you on a path in life to develop a certain set of skills to be able to rock a certain set of activities and take you into a really fulfilling place in your life. And so when you're going through that struggle, when you're going through that challenge, just recognize, instead of, why is this happening to me? Recognize, how is this happening for me? What is the gift in this? I have an aunt who's an amazing mentor and just an amazing person, and she once told me a story. She's a therapist. She once told me a story, and she said, if someone needs a little bit of therapy, they're having a little bit of challenges, they go to therapy once a week. And if someone's really challenged, someone's really going through a challenge, they go to therapy twice a week. Now, if someone's at the point where they feel like they need therapy every single day, they become a therapist. And I became a life coach. This stuff that I talk about, this isn't stuff that I think is cool or fascinating or really fun to philosophize about. This is stuff that I needed so badly in my life that one day a week wasn't enough. Reading a book about this stuff or listening to an interview for me wasn't enough. It made such an impact in my life because it was such a struggle for me to deal with the crazy thoughts in my head, to deal with feeling so uncomfortable in my own skin, to deal with feeling like there was this emptiness inside of me and I didn't know what my purpose was, to feel like I'm so isolated and I'm dealing with this shame and who the hell can really get me, and if I actually spoke what was going on inside of me, that I'd rather die than do that. That was so scary. And so these were some of the things that I struggled so much with that ultimately enabled me and gave me the gift of having to how to figure those challenges out. And that's what I do now, right? Now I am super fulfilled by passing that forward, by supporting other people in those same challenges that were so rough for me. So when you're going through a challenge, I ask you to keep that perspective in mind and understand that what you and I label as a challenge could be somebody else's greatest fantasy. If you think about some of the people who are living in just third world countries with lack of clean water or food, or you look at some of the other times in history where there's been Holocaust or genocide, what you and I consider a problem in actuality is probably a very, very first world challenge. So let's keep that in mind. And when you're going through the challenge, just keep in mind, how is this happening for me? What is the gift here? How can I use this in some way? And to rock with that. And know that the most inspiring, lives are the lives where there is that sense of challenge. I mean, imagine going to a movie and you go watch this movie, you pay your, $15 if you're in New York, And next thing you know, you're watching, and the main character grows up, and nothing particularly challenging happens. And they go to high school, and nothing particularly challenging happens. They get the date, they get good grades, and they go to the best college that of course they get into. Then they get the perfect job, and when they have this perfect job, of course they're going to get the promotion. Once they get the promotion, they meet their dream girl, and from that point they get married and have kids, and they have no financial troubles, and they're totally happy. I mean, imagine going to a movie to see that, right? What would you do? You'd fucking walk out. The movie would be boring as shit. But what we want to see is we want to see that person struggle. We want to see that person go through a hard time. We want to see them overcome that and tap into the human spirit, which is that of overcoming adversity and the soul growth that occurs through challenges. That's what we're inspired by. That's what we want to see. But when it happens in our own life, we're like, fuck that, why is this happening? Screw you, universe, there's something wrong with me, or it's not fair. And we gotta move past that. We gotta realize that when we're going through a challenge, to keep that perspective of, this is the greatest opportunity for us to learn something. What are we being called to learn from the universe? What is the universe saying? Hey, it's time for you to learn this thing, and how can we learn that lesson and then implement it and ultimately give that gift back to the world in some way? So when you're looking to figure out what are your greatest gifts to give to the world, and how do you show up with your deepest sense of purpose, I invite you to look at some of the things that have been most challenging for you in life. Maybe some of the things that made you cry, lose sleep at night, feel like, man, that really hurt me in some way in life, and know that those things are probably some of the biggest gifts that you have to give to the world, and are probably a pretty clear indication of what your purpose is, what your mission is in some way. And if you're going through the thick of the storm right now, and you're in the challenge, one of my kind of go-to practices is I never make shitty decisions I never make decisions when I'm in a shitty mood. Because when I'm in a shitty mood, what happens is I'm thinking in that kind of space, and I always end up making shitty decisions in that mood. So what you can do, instead of trying to figure life out when it feels so challenging, is just do what it takes to make yourself feel better. In other words, raise your consciousness from a place of fear, anger, worry, etc., to a place of inspiration, creativity, contribution, connection. And you can do that through many different ways, whatever it takes to make you feel better. Exercise, movement, getting out of your head into your body, whatever that is. And when you're in a better place, you'll make a better decision. So don't make a life decision when you're in a shitty place. Look for the deeper wisdom in whatever challenge you're experiencing. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon. Have a great rest of your day. And peace!